Today we are discussing Taylor Schabusiness. As you saw in that clip, Taylor recently attacked her attorney in court. Before I can tell you why, we have to rewind and go back to the beginning. I'm going to tell you all about Schabusiness. 25-year-old Taylor Schabusiness is accused of killing her lover, Shad Therian, in a sexed-up, drug-induced, murderous romp that left the victim dead with his body parts scattered all around the city of Green Bay, Wisconsin. That's right, she dismembered her victim. Taylor Schabusiness was born Taylor Denise Coronado on November 23, 1997, in Green Bay, Wisconsin. She changed her name to Taylor Schabusiness in 2018. She is married to a man named Warren Schabusiness, whom she has been with since 2017. They have a son named Mateo, who was born in 2021. Taylor doesn't have custody of her son, and for obvious reasons, but even before her recent incarceration, she didn't have custody of him either. It could be due to her felonious lifestyle. I'll get into that later. Her criminal past is very important to this story, and it's one of the reasons why she gets brought down. So stay tuned for this twisted tale of drugs, sex, and death. Her husband Warren is a jailbird as well. Birds of a feather flock together. But let's get back to Taylor. Taylor Schabusiness met her victim Shad Therian, who was born in 1997 as well, when they attended Bayport High School together. Neither one graduated. They formed a friendship and eventually a sexual relationship. Shad was Taylor's side piece, and Taylor's husband Warren was incarcerated at the time during their relationship and murder. This relationship was so toxic that it led to Shad's death. However, Shad was no angel as well. In 2021, he was arrested for disorderly conduct and resisting an officer. Now that we got the background info out of the way, let's get into what happened on the night Shad died. On February 23, 2022, Green Bay police received a call from Taylor Schabusiness, the mother of Shad Therian, to report that she found her son's severed head in a bucket in her basement. She also reported that Taylor Schabusiness was the last person that was physically with her son. Tara and her boyfriend told police that the last time they saw Shad alive was when Schabusiness picked him up at their Stony Brook home at 9:30 p.m. on Monday, February 21st, 2022.
It was 24-year-old Shad Therian's mother who found his decapitated head in a bucket at the bottom of her stairway. Investigators say Therian's lover, 24-year-old Taylor Schabusiness, is responsible for his murder, sexual assault, and dismemberment.
Tara, who is Shad's mother, her live-in boyfriend told police that he saw Shad and Taylor go into the basement Monday night or early Tuesday morning. Tara and her boyfriend also told police that they heard Schabusiness talking early Tuesday morning on February 22nd. Tara also saw Schabusiness's van parked outside of her house. At first, she wasn't sure if it was Taylor's van. Shad's mother woke up about 2:30 or 3 a.m. after hearing the storm door at her property being slammed. She heard a vehicle drive away and assumed that it was Schabusiness. She saw the light on in her basement and went to go see if her son was in there because she had seen Taylor drive away in her minivan. When she entered the basement, she didn't see anyone inside, but as she was going up the stairs, she noticed a bucket with a blanket over it. She removed the blanket, and that is when she found her son's severed head. Can you imagine finding your child's head? How disturbing.
The victim's mother was the one to discover the severed head. The criminal complaint shows the victim's mother was awakened between 2:30 and 3 in the morning on February 23rd from a door being slammed. Thinking Schabusiness had left, the mother went into the basement, and as she was walking up the stairs, she noticed the bucket. After removing the blanket, she saw the victim's head.
When the police arrived at the home that Shad shared with his mother on Stony Brook Lane, they discovered a bloodbath. In the basement, there was a bloody mattress. There was also blood that soaked through the mattress and pooled onto the floor. And it looked like someone had tried to clean it up real quick. Since Schabusiness was the last person to not only see Shad, but to be physically with him, she became the prime suspect. The police went to go look for her. Now here's where her criminal history comes in. Schabusiness had an active warrant, and law enforcement have been trying to find her, but they have not been able to locate her. Schabusiness has been able to elude the police for months, and it wasn't until she committed this grisly murder where they were finally able to apprehend her. When I said earlier that she lived a felonious lifestyle, I was not kidding. Let's go over this long rap sheet. Taylor got a warrant for violating the conditions of her release from a previous crime, and she was ordered by the court to wear an ankle monitor, which she cut off and went on the run. So not only is she a murderess, she's also a fugitive. Taylor Schabusiness has many criminal convictions from 2020 to present day, from fleeing an officer in a high-speed chase without a license to bail jumping and assault and battery. In June 2020, she was charged with battery, fleeing, and resisting arrest. She was found guilty after pleading no contest, which is pretty much a guilty plea. You are not saying you're guilty, you just don't plan to fight the charges. You're just not admitting guilt. She was sentenced to 3 years probation and 60 days in jail. In August of that same year, 2020, Taylor was charged with bail jumping. Also in a separate case that happened in that same month, she was charged with a misdemeanor for possessing drug paraphernalia, resisting arrest, again, and fleeing an officer in a vehicle. She was sentenced to 2 years probation in that case. For all of these crimes, Taylor was ordered to wear an ankle monitor as part of the conditions for her probation. And a few days later, she cut the ankle monitor off and went on the run. The police traveled across town to Schabusiness's apartment on Eastman Avenue, where they were finally able to apprehend her. Police immediately noticed Schabusiness's van outside of her home. Investigators were checking out her van when Schabusiness exited her apartment and appeared right in front of them. She stopped what she was doing immediately, and the police asked her, "Do you know why we're here?" And she said, "Because of my warrant." She wasn't aware that they were hip to Shad's murder yet. She was arrested immediately. Taylor was in the process of trying to clean up everything, and she was covered in evidence. She had blood all over her hooded sweatshirt, her pants, her hands. She was just a bloody mess. The police obtained a search warrant to search Taylor's van and home, and when they looked inside and got a peek of the horror show, Schabusiness reportedly told the police, "Good luck looking for the body parts." When the police searched the home, they found numerous body parts. Schabusiness completely butchered Shad. His genitals were found in a bucket in Taylor's home. His headless upper torso was found in a storage tote with blood in it and other various organs. Also in that tote were a lot of knives. One of Shad's legs was found in a crock pot in the rear back seat of Taylor's van. That crock pot was sitting on top of a clothes basket. The torso that was found in the tote had many rigid cuts on it, indicating that somebody really hacked away at the body. Taylor admitted to the police that she used various knives to try to get the job done, but she found that a serrated knife worked the best, and it was a bread knife that she took from Shad's home. The police interrogated Taylor, and she admitted to many horrific acts. What she did to Shad was monstrous and disgusting. She told the police every detail that she could remember at the time. She admitted to killing Shad and asked the cops, "Have you ever loved something so much that you kill it?" Well, I haven't, and most normal people protect what they love, but not Miss Schabusiness. So here's a timeline of what happened according to Taylor. On February 21st, 2022, Schabusiness picked up Shad at the home he shared with his mother. They then went to Taylor's house where they smoked weed and meth. Taylor had another friend over during the smoke session, and when that friend left, she and Shad shot up with trazodone. She and Shad then got back into Taylor's minivan and drove to Shad's mother's home. The events that go down there will lead to Shad's awful demise. So I must warn you, there is BDSM and graphic adult acts that I will describe to you. With that out of the way, I'll tell you about the last moments of Shad's life. When Shad and Taylor arrived at his home, they went into the basement to have sex. They liked to spice things up with erotic asphyxiation. Shad possessed 2 chains, one for Taylor and one for himself. Taylor took one of those chains and wrapped it around Shad's neck. This excited her so much that she began to pull the chain harder, admitting that she put muscle into it. She then told the police about how it turned her on, watching Shad's face turn purple. She then said that Shad began to cough up blood, and she continued to choke him with the chain until he died. This took about 3 to 5 minutes, according to Schabusiness. She also described how much she loved it, so much so that she then assaulted Shad's dead body. She used adult toys and committed oral copulation on Shad's corpse. She also admitted to playing with the body for about 2 to 3 hours.
On multiple fronts. According to the criminal complaint, Schabusiness and the victim were both high on drugs, the victim dying due to strangulation. Court records show she watched as he coughed up blood waiting for him to die, later saying, quote, "Yeah, I liked it." Schabusiness allegedly removed the victim's head from his body, placing it inside of a bucket, then draping a blanket over it. With horrific details emerging on Tuesday from last week's murder, it somehow keeps getting even more gruesome, as the victim's mother was the one to discover the severed
When she
head.
was done, she then began the difficult task of dismembering the body. She worked on the body all Tuesday night and into Wednesday morning. Remember, she picked him up Monday night at approximately 9:30 p.m. and returned late into the night. She grabbed several knives from Shad's kitchen. A carving knife and a bread knife were amongst some of the items recovered in that storage tote that she stored Chad's torso in. She preferred the serrated bread knife. She cut herself while taking the body apart. Taylor had scratches on her hands and arms and on her left thumb. The scratches could have been defensive wounds from Shad trying to fight back, or from the chaotic knife work of dismembering Shad's body. There is more to this craziness. Schabusiness also confessed that she forgot the head and intended to take all of the remains with her if she were not in such a rush. She believed that the massive amount of drugs that she had done had made her lazy and paranoid. In her haste, she had left Shad's head and left the leg in the van. She couldn't even remember if she had a whole leg or just a foot.
She went, quote, crazy when she began choking Thyrion during sex. While she didn't plan to kill him, she said she was, quote, already this far and liked it. After he was dead, she performed sexual acts on Thyrion's body. She later dismembered the remains, putting a leg and foot in her vehicle, but leaving the victim's head behind in a bucket. She told investigators, quote, I can't believe I left the head, though. She also told investigators that she had become paranoid after smoking meth and shooting up trazodone.
Now that we are caught up, let's talk about why Taylor attacked her lawyer in that courtroom. Taylor was charged with first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and third-degree sexual assault. In July of 2022, Schabusiness pled not guilty by reason of mental defect or disease. She was able to obtain the services of attorney Quinn Jolly. Her attorney told the judge that Taylor has been treated for bipolar disorder since 7th grade.
Her defense is seeking a second opinion on the matter, pointing out that Schabusiness has been treated for mental health issues for most of her life.
Ms. Schabusiness has been receiving mental health treatment since the 7th grade. She's been psychiatrically hospitalized multiple times. She's been diagnosed with bipolar and psychotic. This may have been one of her better days. However, I'm very surprised at the result of this report.
The judge did agree to allow for a second evaluation of Schabusiness's competency. Her second evaluation is scheduled for May 10th.
Due to Taylor's previous history of bail jumping and living as a fugitive for her previous crimes, District Attorney Caleb Saunders asked the court to keep the suspect in prison during the trial. He also said due to the nature of the crime, these crimes were so egregious that he just didn't want her out on the streets. A court-appointed doctor found Taylor Schabusiness competent enough to stand trial last year.
Business is competent to stand trial for allegedly murdering Shad Therian. Competency refers to the defendant's ability to understand the court proceedings and help in their own defense. The doctor, Matthew Seipel, says that he believes that Schabusiness is able to stand trial. He was appointed by the court. He noted that he had extensive discussions with her about the allegations, the evidence, and legal tactics. She has pleaded not guilty and not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect.
And in discussing these topics, the defendant did not display any substantial deficits in her understanding of the underlying case or of the pending proceedings, or in her capacity to communicate coherently and rationally with defense counsel toward making the legal decisions that fall essentially to her to make.
Schabusiness is charged with first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and third-degree sexual assault.
But defense attorney Quinn Jolly pushed back on that. He was doing his job. On Tuesday, February 14, 2023, at a competency hearing, Schabusiness attacked Jolly right in Judge Thomas Walsh's courtroom at 8:48 a.m. This attack was captured by a camera that was mounted in the courtroom. Schabusiness lunged at Jolly and elbowed him in the face. After he successfully got her next competency hearing moved to another date, Jolly was just doing his job. He told the court that he had a voluminous amount of evidence to present and over 37 witnesses to call that can attest to Taylor's mental competency. She really messed this up. She was upset that the hearing had been moved to a later date. It's crazy because she was sitting at the defendant's table quietly and motionless. And then she just lunged at Jolly with the bailiffs having to restrain her. She was cuffed and was wearing a restraining belt, which the handcuffs were attached to. She claims to not remember attacking Jolly and asked the bailiffs what happened after she was taken down. But this was enough for Jolly. Jolly filed a motion Thursday, February 16th, to be withdrawn as counsel for Schabusiness, claiming that the attack was a violation of attorney-client relationship. I'm going to read an excerpt from weau.com, and this is Jolly's statement to the court. Due to the irretrievably broken state of the attorney-client relationship caused by the events of the court hearing on February 14, 2023, counsel requests to be withdrawn from all further representation, reads the motion. Counsel firmly believes that withdrawal can be accomplished without material adverse effect on the client's interest as well as that of the state.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Tom Zolaski.
And I'm Michelle McCormack. We begin tonight at 5 with the woman accused of killing a man and mutilating a corpse. Well, she's now seeking new legal representation. Defense attorney Quinn Jolly, that is, filed a motion to take himself off the case just days after 25-year-old Taylor Schabusiness attacked him during a competency hearing. He says the attorney-client relationship is broken. This almost assuredly will delay the case, which was scheduled for trial in May. It was in February of last year that 24-year-old Shad Therian was found dismembered in his mother's basement. Investigators say Schabusiness admitted to the crime and said it happened while she was on drugs.
Now, what could happen to Schabusiness if she is convicted is that she could face life in prison without the possibility of parole. However, Taylor Schabusiness has pleaded not guilty due to mental defects. Now, this doesn't mean that she'll get off if she's found mentally incompetent. She will be treated by mental health professionals who will monitor her mental state and will inform the court of when she's ready to stand trial. Depending on her condition, she may or may not be able to be deemed mentally competent. Listen to these professionals.
All right, LA County Deputy Public Defender Philip Dubé and co-host Terry Austin are back to break down this bizarre case of death and dismemberment. Terry, walk us through competency. How will it affect the case if she goes to trial and any potential plea deals?
Well, this is truly a bizarre case, and under Wisconsin law, if she lacks the substantial mental capacity to understand those proceedings and to assist in her own defense, she could be deemed incompetent, and that will mean there will be no trial until she's deemed competent. So she will be in a mental institution. They will be taking tests. They will try to determine whether or not she's competent. We've seen this before in Idaho, obviously, the Lori Daybell Vallow case, where she has now been deemed incompetent for over 180 days. So we don't know how long this will last if she's deemed incompetent. But if she comes back competent and they go to trial at some point, there's always the defense of insanity.
All right, Philip, let's talk about that defense. In my mind, there has to be an insanity defense here, right? And again, I don't think there's any way the prosecution can argue against that, or can they?
Well, it depends. The standard in Wisconsin is that they have to prove, or the defense has to show, that she in fact has a mental illness, a mental defect. And typically that has to be a settled psychotic spectrum disorder separate from a drug-induced psychosis. So you can't just get loaded and high on meth and opioids, commit a crime, and then cry insanity. You have to have a true settled mental illness independent of any drug-induced psychosis that you might have. But once you show that, then she has to show that she lacked the capacity to appreciate the wrongfulness of her conduct or to conform to the law. Well, let's assume she can make out the fact that she has a settled psychotic spectrum disorder. Her problem is that she was able to adequately clean up the scene afterwards, dispose of the head, clean up. So it clearly shows that she could appreciate the wrongfulness of her conduct and could otherwise conform to the law.
All right, maybe this isn't as black and white as we originally thought, but of course we'll get more updates on Taylor Schabusiness as the case
There
continues.
has always been something wrong with Taylor. I went to her Facebook to see who she is. Research purposes, of course. Her very last post was on January 13th, 2023. This is what she said. Went off and told an addict, "I'll never stop buying you dope, so I can sit back and watch you die." I'm not the only one who checked out her Facebook page, because there are several people on there trolling the hell out of her. Some people told her that she was evil and going to hell. There are a few jokes, but considering the nature of the crime, I understand. Taylor Schabusiness is a sick and demented woman. Well, that's all I got for you. I'm out.